I have 9:30. The July meeting of the Wood County Board of Supervisors will come to order. The clerk has taken roll. We do have a quorum. At this time, I would ask Supervisor Zerflu to come forward for the invocation and ask the body to remain standing for our pledge of allegiance.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Pax Vobiscum to all of you. In my Christian heritage, a little Latin makes it sound like we're going to have bingo after the meeting, but it's been canceled due to lack of interest. Just kidding. Let us pray. Holy Triune God, creator of all, earth, heaven, and mankind, who redeemed mankind when man turned from you to do his own will. Keep us free of our self-serving interests. Send your Spirit to lead us in placing our constituents' needs as our first obligation. Let us always be mindful of the poorest of the poor of our county. Protect always our brothers and sisters who daily put our protection and liberty ahead of their personal well-being by serving in our armed forces, police departments, emergency medical agencies, and fire departments. Let us especially remember the events that happened 1 week ago today in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin, where firefighter Captain Corey Barr, whose unselfish devotion to duty helped save the lives of countless residents near the explosion site in Sun Prairie at the expense of his own life. In Captain Barr's honor, and in prayerful concern for his wife Amy and their children, we share a moment of silence. Amen. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Reading of the June minutes. Motion by Hamilton. Is there a second? By Claire. We have a motion on the floor and seconded to approve the June meeting minutes. Is there any discussion or additions or corrections? Seeing none, all in favor of those that approval indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Thank you. Excusal this morning, we have Supervisors Fisher and Plymouth excused. Appointments, we have for the City of Nakusa, TID number 4, Joint Review Board, Wood County Finance Director, and Board of Adjustment, 3-year term, Myron Peterson. Motion by Hamilton. Is there a second? Second by Lake. We have a motion on the floor and seconded to approve those appointments. Is there any discussion? If none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Thank you. Public comments. Is there anyone wishing to make public comment at this time? Anyone? Public comment. Seeing none, we will move on. Acknowledgements. We have some special acknowledgements this morning of long-term employees. First, Director Brewing, would you like to come forward for these?
All right, are we good to go with the mic?
Yep.
Good. Okay, today I have two special recognitions, and these two have kind of been joined at the hip since they started working in our agency over 25 years ago. Today we're going to recognize Mary Christensen and Barb Papa for 25 years of service, but I'm going to do it individually. They've been kind of joined throughout our agency through the past 25 years because they started together. But I know from experience that it's not always nice being joined with somebody, since I've been joined with somebody my whole life without having a choice in the matter. So I will do this individually. So, first I'd like to ask Barb to come forward. I just want to recognize Barb's 25 years of service. She has worked as a juvenile justice worker in our Family Services Division for the last 25 years. Barb has seen a lot of changes over the course of that 25 years in how we administer juvenile programs, and she has adapted very well. Barb has significant influence at the state level as she's involved in her state association, WJCIA, and Barb has a tremendous influence on policy initiatives and really is on the cutting edge in putting Wood County at the forefront as we look at making change in the juvenile area. Barb also has taken on the work of training interns, which really is the future nowadays of our agency. So we bring a number of interns now to show them essentially the business of juvenile justice, family services, and Barb has taken the lead in the juvenile area in that regard, and she's done a tremendous job. We've actually recently hired somebody that Barb mentored over the course of the last few months. So that work really is significant for us as we look at training and bringing on new folks. The work in juvenile justice really has evolved over 25 years, and I think Barb would probably agree that in some respects it's gotten much harder. We've seen significantly more issues that arise with youth, and she has really rolled with that. One of the prominent roles that Barb has played is working with our independent living program, and that program really is designed to help youth that are ready to age out of care or turning 18 and are ready to live independently. And she's done a great job of helping those youth adjust to coming into our community and living independently, which plays a tremendous role in their long-term success. So I want to thank you, Barb, for all of your time here. We look forward to many more years, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next, I would ask Mary Christensen to come forward. Again, Mary has also been with our agency for the last 25 years. Mary has also taken on a significant leadership role within our Family Services Division. She supervises and works with our post-reunification support program, which is a program that's designed to prevent children from re-entering out-of-home care, which is foster care, residential care, group home care. That level of care is very expensive, and it can cause a significant amount of trauma to kids as they're removed from the home. So Mary has taken the lead with that program and preventing kids from having to return to out-of-home care. So that really is a significant value to our agency, but more importantly, the children that we're serving. Mary has also taken on a leadership role as becoming our agency's SACWIS super user. She navigates through the complex computer system that we use in child welfare and helps the rest of our staff get through that system as well. Mary has also taken on the role of supervising interns over the last number of years. And folks that supervise interns are chosen to supervise interns for a reason. It's because they embody exactly what we're looking for in social workers and professionals. So for Mary to be chosen to do that and take on that role, it means a great deal because we want workers to work just as she does. So again, Mary has over 25 years. We are hoping for more and more time out of her. She does really great work. So with that, Mary, I want to thank you for all of your time here and look forward to continuing to work with you.
Thank you, Director Bruinch. Jordan, you're up.
Morning, everyone. I get the pleasure of acknowledging Paul Schaefer today. Paul Schaefer has been with Wood County for over 40 years in June. So that's quite a milestone for any employee, especially in the current environment that we're in, to have such a dedicated employee committed to one place of employment for most of his career. So Paul's unable to be here today to accept this, so I'll accept it on his behalf. About 40 years ago, Paul started with us in his capacity as a tech on our Stepping Stones unit 40 years ago. He was in various units as a tech with us for about 26 years until the time came where he accepted the position as our receptionist. So if you ever come in the front doors or call up to Norwood, Wood County Annex and Health Center, Paul is usually that friendly face that's behind the desk and has been so for the last 14 years. So I know Paul is very happy to accept this as he is looking forward to retiring here at the end of the year. So we will certainly miss his friendly face and his dedication to the county. So thank you.
That being done, we will get into the packet. Referrals for July, we have 2 referrals. Those have been passed on to the appropriate committees. Page 6, you'll see the executive committee meetings from June 19th. Page 7, comments from the deputy county clerk. 8 through 16, we have the finance director's report. Human resources from 17 to 21. IT, 22 to page 24. Safety and risk management, page 25. Page 26, treasurer's report. Which brings us to our first resolution brought from the executive committee, and I will ask the clerk to read that.
This will be resolution 18-7-1 to authorize the sale of the 10th and Airport Avenue property in Wisconsin Rapids and to delegate to the executive committee the authority to approve final revisions to the transaction. Fiscal note, sale price of $150,000 with some cost for title insurance.
Glendenny, motion to approve. Is there a second? Second. All right. We have a motion on the floor to approve the resolution. And seconded. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Vice Chair Roser?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The circumstances surrounding the introduction of this resolution by the executive committee have changed a bit. So I'm standing to amend the resolution so that it gives it a broader application. And so if you would just follow me as I work my way down through this resolution, I would appreciate it. So I would like to delete the fiscal note of the sale price of $150,000 and put the word none in that because of the changing circumstances surrounding the sale of this property. I would like to delete the 3rd, 4th, and 5th whereas. So that would leave only the first 2 whereases there. And the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th whereas would remain. And then, let's see, whereas. So replace with this paragraph, and the deputy clerk has this language. So the replacement of that, by deleting the 3rd, 4th, and 5th whereas, replace it with whereas the treasurer has been contacted by prospective purchasers and their representatives as to buying the property, and the county board needs to either approve of the terms of a sale or delegate that responsibility to another entity to do so. And then we would delete number 1 under the now therefore, and then the renumbering would occur with the remaining 3. So essentially what's going to happen now is that the executive committee will be given the authority to move forward with the sale of this property without coming back to the county board as purchasers come forward because of the changing circumstances of the purchasing of this property that necessitated this resolution. So I'd like to amend the resolution, please.
Is that, there's a second by Nanette. So we will be voting now, I'm sorry, there is an amendment to the resolution and seconded. Is there any discussion? Supervisor Zerflu.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Back in the old days, they always said about signing a blank check and letting everybody else fill it in. I guess I'm going to need more information. I mean, yay for selling the property, but I just have a problem with not giving the executive committee the authority. But what's so important that this can't wait until August? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So I'll be glad to answer that.
Vice Chair Lozer.
We want to get rid of the property. I think that's what, it's not that there's an emergency about it, but we're just concerned that perhaps somebody's going to step forward to purchase the property and want to go ahead and close perhaps before the county board meets again. The parameters have pretty much been set. I think the sale of the property that's on this right now is $169,000. And we had an offer to purchase at $150,000, but that fell through because of extenuating circumstances. So I think that the thought is that with the beginning of school, it's got a lot of bedrooms. There might be somebody that steps forward with kids that just kind of wants to get settled before school starts. And so to expedite the purchase of this property, the executive committee believed that it would be in the best interest to just move forward. It's not really a blank check, Supervisors Zerflu, because there have been parameters set forth as to what would be an appropriate purchase price for this property, and those parameters, I believe, are in previous minutes under executive committee discussions.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair.
Is there any further discussion on the motion to amend? If not, we will be voting on the amendment to the resolution. If there is no further discussion, please go to the board and vote. That amendment is approved 15-2. So we will now be voting on the the amended resolution. Is there any further discussion on the amended resolution? If not, please go to the board and vote. The resolution passes 15-2. Thank you. Moving along, Health and Human Services Committee minutes from June 28th on pages 28 and 29. I believe all of the ad hoc minutes on the ad hoc committee of out-of-home care placement are on pages 30 to 39, along with their recommendations on the last page. Health Department report, pages 40 through 42. Human Services Department report, pages 43 to 53.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, I just like to back up to page 31. Just a point of order on the thing. It says next meeting, at the bottom of 31, next meeting, January 16th of 2017. Wouldn't that be 2018? I was going to call the chair and I completely forgot about it and I just noticed it.
That will be corrected. Thank you. Takes us to Wood County Public Safety Committee minutes from June 11th, pages 54 to 57. Central Records Committee meeting of June 5th, pages 58 to 59. Humane Officer reports, pages 60 to 63. Coroner's report on page 64. Various Sheriff's Department reports, pages 65 through 73. Seed minutes from July 5th, page 74 through 77. Supervisor Layton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't know where the appropriate place to say this is. It's referenced on pages 40, this page 75, and then page 80. There is an important water meeting in Necedah this evening from 6 until 8 p.m. at, I believe it's the Necedah Town Hall, which is behind the fire department. If you look at those pages that I indicated, the Wood County Health Department and Juneau County Health Department did 122 drinking well tests in rural homes in southern Wood, most of them in northern Juneau County. The results came back really alarming as far as nitrate levels. 41% in both communities actually had that high level. So the people have been informed probably 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, something like that time frame, as to their individual results. But this meeting tonight is for the public. Various local officials are going to be there, state officials. We've even been told the EPA will be there. So really significant meeting. I expect a crowded standing room only room that holds about 200 people. I don't know if I said this, 101 Center Street in Necedah, the intersections of Highway 80 and 21, if you can visualize that. The location of the meeting is south across the highway from that Quick Trip. But Channel 7 is also going to be present. They've been doing some promoting of water issues. I believe they're going to air a special tonight starting at 5 o'clock. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Clendenin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to, when you mentioned Southwood County, the town of Port Edwards was one of the towns that had these water tests. And you'll be surprised at the results of those, and I'm sure they will be announced. So people in the town of Port Edwards should be concerned about. Thank you.
Moving on, Land and Water Conservation Department reports on pages 78 through 83. Planning and Zoning, 84 through 88. UW Extension reports, 89 through 92. Vice Chair Wilson.
I suppose this is just as good a time as any to stand up and kind of thank everybody for their support of Farm Tech Days in Marshfield last week. I don't know if you saw the reports, but it looks like around 40,000 people visited Farm Tech Days, and I know it was a huge economic boost. It was pretty hot and dusty for a couple of days there, and Hildy and I did one of the gates all 3 days, and we were coughing for 5 days after that of all the dust that was there. But it was just overwhelming to me. I've never been to a Farm Tech Days before, and Wood County was very instrumental with some of the startup funding for that event, and we should be very proud of ourselves for our role in bringing that to our community. I've not seen a lot of the statistics yet, but I understand that the first 2 days kind of paid the bills, and the third day was a profit-making day for the Farm Tech community. So thanks, everybody, for your support. Thanks for coming. I saw a lot of you there, and it was just a wonderful 3 days in Marshfield. And, glad to have the opportunity. I know the committee said that they'll do it again in 57 years because nobody would do it again. And so they were exhausted. But it was just a marvelous event, and thanks for Wood County's support.
Minutes of Judicial and Legislative Committee, pages 93 through 95. Criminal Justice Task Force minutes from June 20th, 96, 97, and 98. Child Support report on 99. Court Counsel, pages 100 to 104. Central Sand Citizen Groundwater Group, minutes from June 18th, 105 and 106. More Court Counsel on 107, 109. Which brings us to our second resolution from Judicial Legislative, and I will ask the Deputy Clerk to read that, please.
This will be Resolution 18-7-2, to grant an increase in the Child Support Director's compensation from Step 7 to a Step 8 effective July 1st, 2018. Fiscal note, total wages and fringes to be approximately $1,188.08. With federal reimbursement, the cost to Wood County will be approximately $403.95 in county levy. The funds are available in the 2018 child support budget.
Motion by Hamilton, seconded by Zerflu. We have a motion on the floor and seconded to approve this resolution. Is there any discussion on the resolution? Any discussion? Vice Chair Roser?
Thank you. I have to tell you, I was really confused by the process of this. And I spoke to a couple people. I don't understand it totally yet. I certainly am in favor of an increased compensation, but we've just kind of never done it this way before. And I wasn't really sure what the policy and procedures were. I was handed a copy of the employee recruitment and retention policy that was apparently used to justify the necessity for bringing this resolution mid-year. We've always in the past combined compensation increases with our end of the year performances and incorporated them into the next year's budget. So this was kind of an unusual thing for me. The chairman assures me that the process will be put on the next executive committee meeting, because I don't think that the process is very well delineated about how we handle mid-year compensation increases like this. So I look forward to that discussion, and I'm pleased that there's a realization that the process is not just real well put out about how we do this. So that's the only thing I'm disappointed in, is just that I don't think that the process, these things have usually come to the executive committee. I don't know whether they didn't come to the executive committee because of the timing. So I look forward to the discussion on the process. And I will be supporting this resolution, but I have a lot of questions about how it happened. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on the resolution? If not, please go to the board and vote. That resolution passes 16-1. Thank you. And that brings us to our third resolution in the packet, also from K&L. And I will ask the deputy clerk to read that.
This will be Resolution 18-7-3, to change the county board rules so as to allow county board supervisors to receive up to 3 days per diem for attendance at the annual WCA convention. Fiscal note, probably a few $100s per year in increased per diems would cover those supervisors who attend all 3 days of the annual WCA convention.
Motion by Ham, second by Clendenny. We have a motion on the floor and seconded to approve the resolution. Is there any discussion? Any discussion on the resolution? Supervisor Zerflu.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Short and sweet, which you're not going to believe, since I like to talk. We raised the marriage fee $25 to $100, and now we're going to give supervisors that go down for 3 days instead of 2 days an extra $50. I'm opposing this just based on that. Thank you.
Any further discussion on the resolution? If not, please go to the board and vote. And that resolution passes 10 to, I can't see about 7. Thank you. Minutes of the HERC Committee, pages 112 through 120. Aging Disability Resource Center Finance Committee minutes and regular meeting minutes on 121 through 123. Various library board minutes, 124 to 127. Which brings us to our final, or our fourth resolution in the packet, and I will ask the deputy clerk to read that.
This will be Resolution 18-7-4, to appoint Trent Minor as county clerk for the unexpired term of Wood County Clerk Cynthia Seabrist, July 17, 2018 through January 4th, 2021. Fiscal note, none. I'm not working for free. I'm just saying.
That was my question first.
Motion by Zerflu, second by Ham. We have a motion on the floor and seconded to approve the resolution. Is there any discussion? Supervisor Zerflu.
Mr. Chairman, if you please, as the chair, I would just ask for a vote of acclamation, voice vote, to approve this.
Is there any objection to that from the floor? Supervisor Clendenny.
This is not an objection to that, but I do have a question. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was quite surprised and did not know that the procedure to find out that there was interviews done for this and that it was conducted by 2 people. And where was their advertisement for this position? How did somebody know, and I've heard this from the public, how did people know that there was an opportunity to have an interview for this job? I don't know how that all come about. I was surprised. I was asked a question. I know the procedure is that the county board chooses one, and I was quite surprised to see that there was interviews, and how did that happen?
The position was advertised.
This is only a little uncomfortable. Actually, the position was on the website, on the county's website, and then because it's on Cyber Recruiter, it goes out to LinkedIn. I refer to the HR director on that. It was out on the website for a week, and those applications, I'll let Chairman Mahan answer that.
Kim, correct me if I'm wrong, was there 21 applications, 21, 23? For some reason, it's stuck on that odd number.
Yeah.
Okay. that the list was narrowed down to 3. We interviewed 3 different people. And chose Trent. Supervisor Planning.
So this is the same way with that for absentee for, say, a supervisor. We would interview a group of people and people would be involved in that interview. So is this done different? Does everybody have computers that a website to do that? I just thought it should be more public. And, oh, you people with a computer, you'll know about this, but you people that don't have a computer don't know that our county clerk is gone now and we're going to have interviews for a new one. That's just my feeling on it.
Any further discussion on the resolution? Supervisor Pollock.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I request the board vote on this resolution, please.
Okay. Any further discussion on the resolution? If not, please go to the board and vote. And that resolution passes unanimously. Thank you. Thank you. Which brings us to our final resolution in the packet involving the long-term recognition of the employees that we recognized at the beginning of the meeting. I think we can do this by voice vote. Is there a motion to approve the resolution? Fire and is there any discussion? If none, please indicate, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
For opposed, say no. Thank you. Which brings us to the end of our official packet. We have 2 special orders of business today. First, we are going to bring up Jason Hauser, and while he's making his way to the front, I just wanted to piggyback on some of Donna's comments on extension. Apparently, the word I'm given is that the numbers were the best they've had in 10 years, over 43,000 people. If you didn't get up there, you missed a pretty impressive show. I'd like to give a shout out, although he's not here today, Matt Lippert, who was really up to his eyeballs in that show and did a great job. I had the good fortune of meeting a lot of the people that were involved, the host families, as well as the executive committee. A lot of hard work went into that, and I think it showed itself in our numbers. So that being said, Jason, take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman, fellow board supervisors. I'm actually asked the extension staff to come up here and be front and center if they don't mind. Jackie Kirty, Laura Huber, Jody Friday, Nancy Turk. These are the folks in our Wood County office that do the work. So as Chair Mahan mentioned, Matt Lippert couldn't be here today. He's actually doing the radio interview with Marshfield. So I'm going to fly through my stuff as fast as I can so that we can get to these fine folks and the works that they do. Just a quick reintroduction. My name is Jason Halster. I'm the Area Extension Director serving Wood County. I also serve Clark, Marathon, and Portage County. So I had a chance to speak in front of this body this spring with Peter Manley's retirement. So I'm happy to announce that there's a replacement in Peter's shoes, and we'll introduce Nancy here in a little bit. But I want to run through a couple updates that you may have heard in the media, some things with cooperative extension that have changed or are changing. And so, just a quick recap of our, it is not presenting. Trent, are you good on your end? Yes. The black screen of death. Test run worked. So as we're working on the technology, I'll keep on running through. So our mission with Cooperative Extension is we teach, learn, lead, and serve. And so you have the presentation in front of you, so I can kind of walk you through that to be aware of your time this morning to make way for Chad there. We teach, learn, lead, and serve in the communities that we serve. And so we're very fortunate that Wood County has reinvested in cooperative extension services for many, many years. Our mission has remained steady. Our local presence is the lifeblood of what we do, so the local extension office is the connection to the University of Wisconsin resources. We leverage resources in all 72 counties, and so all 72 counties are invested in cooperative extension. Some, the staffing structures look different, but here in Wood County, we're very fortunate that we, let me try and, let's replug this in.
We have a paper PowerPoint.
Yeah, we're gonna go with that. But the question, we have to fix it. There we go. Jackpot. So our mission remains true. Oh, what happened there? So our mission remains true. So we had, E.L. Luther was our first ag educator up in Oneida County almost over 100 years ago, or back in the 40s, excuse me. And one of the things that we find to be the biggest value is bringing the resources of the university in the direct application. So universities do a lot of research, but we are the direct application of that research out in the communities that we serve. As you know, with the county's partnership with Marshfield Wood County, the campus there was consolidation actually July 1 of this year to combine the 2-year campuses with the 4-year campuses. Cooperative Extension was not immune to that restructure. Cooperative Extension now has an administrative authority from UW-Madison. The one thing I want to make very clear this morning is that the work in the county does not change. Our value is given in the work that we do with Farm Tech Days and the work of our educators. That remains steady. The importance to the local communities, we know that through your investment that we're able to leverage our work to reinvest back in the county, and Laura actually has a nice part that she'll talk about here in a little bit about the value that she leverages through 4-H volunteers and the 4-H clubs to reinvest back in our community. So your investment in cooperative extension services is leveraged out in the communities that we engage in. So we have Matt Lippert in our office. He couldn't be here this morning. He's our ag educator, and I'll kind of walk through a little bit of his programming. Farm Tech Days has been on his radar for 3 years. And the culmination of that was a wonderful 3 days last week. And as Chair Mahan said, and Vice Chair Rosar said, over 40,000, actually Matt sent me last night, over 43,000 is close to the final tally. Almost about 700 people went through the dairy tours, and just an economic driver for Wood County. The other educator that couldn't be here, actually there's 2 other ones that couldn't be here this morning. Jeremy Erickson, who's our hort educator. He's part-time. He has worked tirelessly on a lot of commercial and residential horticulture needs. As we know, turf management and flowers and local foods movements are on the upswing, and Jeremy's we've had that position here at Wood County for a long time, and he leverages that in the work that he does. Chris View, who is our 4-H and youth development agent, couldn't be here this morning as well. He's taken, as of July 1, a reassignment, if you will, of some sorts to serve half of the state in a liaison role. His resources are now being leveraged around the state. He's a quality educator, and so the state has bought back some of his time to reinvest it that way. So you have the presentation in front of you. Our reorganization remains strong. Our transition to Madison is started on July 1. However, the local community remain unchanged, and that's something that we've been working with the seat committee to let them know that it's administrative. They're if you will, they're trimming the trees or tightening the belt, whatever analogy you want to use on administration, and that's where we find the reinvestment back into the educators pays dividends. So I'm going to defer to the educators on a quick update on the program area and some highlights. You have the stats in front of you, so Lori, would you mind stepping up first?
So thank you all for your time today. My name is Laura Huber, and like Jason said, I am the 4-H program coordinator here in Wood County. If you're not familiar with 4-H, 4-H is a program that serves youth of school age, if you will, from kindergarten through that first year right out of high school. And our mission is really to help them learn and develop life skills. we are not just serving the farm community, we are serving youth throughout all of our communities, whether they're interested in being on the farm or if they're interested in doing high-tech type things. It runs the gamut. And our program is growing. In the notes, I said that from last year, we've gone from 710 youth to 715, and 5 may not seem like many, but when you think about kids have to age out, and we're more than replenishing our numbers. We are expanding beyond just those that leave. And one thing I want to say is you guys are all here serving your communities, and I thank you for that. And that is one of the things that we instill in our 4-Hers right from the very beginning. Right in the pledge, there's that part that says, I pledge my hands to larger service. You're doing that here, and we always do that with our both youth and our adult volunteers. And in 2017, we volunteered over 15,000 hours. And when you calculate out the value of that, that's over $350,000 worth of volunteer time that was put right back into our communities. Thank you very much.
Oh. That's okay, we entertain questions?
Yeah, thank you. I was just gonna mention with the 32,000 we give to the junior fair has involved these 4-H people. And that's why it's so important to help them with their work. And what I'm saying is, we had a fair meeting last night, and our carnival can't be in there in time on the Thursday for Tuesday opening, so we're going to have a half price at the end gate, at the gate, and we're going to devote that day strictly to junior fair. So we hope they can bring more of their families in with this half price entrance. So thank you.
I'm a little short. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay. I'm Jody Friday. I am our Food-Wise Nutrition Educator here for Wood County. If you don't know what the Food-Wise program is, we are actually funded through federal programming dollars through the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. So I'm the SNAP Ed education part of that end. You also might know it as Food Share here in Wisconsin. So I'm working with a particular audience that is Food Share eligible. So I work with a lot of youth with our schools that are income eligible, which means that they've got a particular percentage of students that are eligible for the free and reduced lunch program. I work with parents of those kids. I work with adults. I work at our local food pantries, doing education there, and even with our seniors. So some of our senior housing that I go to and serve as a role too on some of our advisory councils, like the ADRC's Nutrition Advisory Council, the School Wellness Council as well. So some different things that I do there. I think the thing that is not in your packet that I had put on the presentation is the number of youth contacts that I have. I'm pretty much the main contact educator for Wood County with our youth, and I think I had over 1,000 contacts with kids throughout this last school year. So I go in and do education with kindergarten, 3rd and 5th grade at those income eligible schools. I see them anywhere from 5 to 6 times throughout that time frame with them. So it's a lot of times that we go in and see those kinds of things. We had a new partnership as well with the Southwood County Emerging Pantry this year, doing monthly education with the pantry participants. And I think one of the best things that we got for a comment was from the program operations manager over there that said, I don't know who else would do this besides Extension, and I don't know who could do it better. So it's been a great affirmation of what we're doing to continue to work with those incomes and those audiences.
Thank you.
Height adjustment. Hi, my name is Jackie Caratini. I'm the family living agent, and I started in January here in Wood County, transitioned from Marathon County. So 6 months, just kind of getting my feet wet, introducing myself in the community, picking up some things that my predecessor, Sarah, had done. One of the things is working with the Ho Chunk Head Start. My program, a lot of the things that I had done in Marathon County was financial education. So one of the things with Ho-Chunk, working on parenting and financial education, they have a tremendous program. I'm not sure if you are all familiar with the Ho-Chunk Head Start in Nakusa, but they have almost 100% success rate in getting parents there on a monthly basis, which is really fantastic. So getting parents every single month, and almost 100% of those parents turn up every month, so it's fantastic. So working with them every month, doing parenting and financial education. Also, the other piece is really working with, as Jody mentioned, other coalitions in the community, and just really getting to know partners and getting my feet wet. Working a lot with the libraries. I'm partnering with the Job Center, the libraries for financial education, and just this month, launched a financial survey for the county, for county employees on financial wellness. It's a statewide survey that we use in extension just to gauge financial stability, but we're using it as part of the wellness piece that the county is using to see and really looking at overall financial wellness as a part of overall health wellness. And then we'll look at the results of that, and then we'll take that back in the fall, and then we'll offer an 8-week program that the employees can use as far as their wellness points. So really excited to get that going. We just launched it last week, and we already have 200 responses back. So really quickly went over really well. So also working throughout the county, again, I mentioned with the libraries, but also other partners in Marshfield. We're launching programs in the fall on community pieces as Rent Smart. So working with citizens on trying to make sure that they know safe rental practices, so when they go out that they're making smart choices. So not only things like budgeting, but then also making sure that when they go to look at a property, they know not only what they're getting, but that they're making good choices, so that when they, the landlord rents to them, that they have they're investing, making a good investment in that tenant as well. So that goes back to economic development. So we're working on those pieces from the budgeting aspect, but then also from that education aspect, and then it also goes back to health as well. So again, just kind of trying to meet people and making those connections in the community. Thanks.
I want to thank the colleagues for sharing some time. I'm going to keep this brief. As I told Chair Mahan, I do want to introduce Nancy Turek. Peter Manley retired in end of January, and so we're happy to have Nancy on staff. Her first day was yesterday, so nothing like day 2 getting up in front of the county board. So we're happy to have her on board. As I mentioned, Matt and Jeremy couldn't be here. So we hope that, with things that we're putting in front of you, the copy of the presentation, but our annual report for 2017, there's more highlights in here. Something that we hope to do continuously to show you as the County Board of Supervisors the work that we're doing on an annual basis. So you know when people come up to you and you talk about extension services, or people ask you, hey, where can I get this done, or who can help me with this? You can say, UW Extension can help. We hope that we're the resource that you lean on and go to. If there's a question that you have, stop down and see us in our office. We're on the first floor of this building. If you haven't stopped by, please do and say hello. Wendy and Katie up in the front office are a pleasure to work with and get you the right resource. We're here for you. We're here to serve you as a County Board of Supervisors, as well as every constituent here in Wood County on a variety of different issues. And if we can't do it in-house, we have the resources in the institution to find it. So thank you for your time this morning, and I'll entertain any other questions that you might have about cooperative extension.
Any other questions for Jason or staff? Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
That brings up our Parks Director next for his annual report. Are you presenting a computer program too as well?
Yes.
Good
With a
luck.
lot of photos.
It's okay.
Just to add.
You get it work and you get to work at the moment.
No, you can just,
Maybe that's what they do when they call
All right, excellent. So far, so good. Well, thank you for the opportunity once again. So I'm here, my name's Chad Schooley, I'm the Director for Wood County Parks and Forestry. I'm here today to present kind of a brief summary on the 2017 operations in the Wood County Parks and Forestry Department. I do apologize, my intention was to include the full annual report in the packet. That did not get in there. I will have that if acceptable. I would like to send that out for next month's packet, so it's more detailed. So we will jump into, this is just a listing of all the individuals that are responsible as far as paid staff in our department. One unique thing that you can see at the bottom of the page is the number of hours that we get from emergency government workers, and this is a combination of the crew supervisors as well as the staff that we get out of either the county jail or individuals that are not in jail and are working off fines. So it is a pretty significant amount of time that we get from those individuals for the maintenance of our parks and forestry areas. Along with the paid staff, we do rely quite a bit on volunteers, and so this is again just kind of a brief summary of some of those volunteers. It's not a complete list, but you can see the ATV clubs, the snowmobile clubs, as well as our campground hosts and several different individuals throughout the year that we work with to not only maintain our parks and trail systems, but also for different projects that they may help us out with as well. In 2017, we had a pretty neat contest. It was through Facebook, and it was basically asking individuals in the community to go out into our parks and take photos. We got some really good responses, as you can see here. With that, we were able to utilize these photos for marketing and just promoting our parks and forestry areas as well. But again, we had a really good response. We got a lot of good photos for our future use as well. Just some of the events that we hosted. Some are annual, so this one, the Kiwanis Youth Outdoors event, as you can see, the winter one didn't go off too well. That was scheduled for January 21st of 2017, and we had a pretty good warm spell as well as some rain during that event, so that was canceled. They also have a summer event which is located at our Southwood County Park as well, and they have several different stations that the area youth can come and participate in. Another annual event, the 2017 State Water Ski Show Tournament. And if you're not aware, I'm sure you've heard on the radio or TV, but that event is starting this weekend. So Friday through Sunday, it'll be out at Red Sands Beach at Lake Wazeecha, and it's a great event. It brings in all kinds of people from out of the area, basically filling all of our hotels, overflowing into Plover, Stevens Point. And so I'm not sure the exact number of people that come, but it is in the thousands, so it is a very good event for us in the parks as well as the community.
In addition to that, as you're aware, Parks and Forestry was one of the departments that moved from here in the courthouse over to the River Block building. That was change is always difficult. It wasn't something that was real popular within our department at first, but we really have settled into our new location, and I think it's working out very well. So as you can see, we should have had a before and after picture as far as our old office as well, but it's very similar setup as far as the front area. We did utilize basically all of our old office equipment as well as equipment that was left at the River Block. So worked out pretty well. Another annual event, this is out at Wazeecha as well, is the Autism Jigsaw Run. And so this is basically an autism awareness run, and it raised funds for that purpose. It's always the first weekend in May, and so we've been pretty fortunate. We've had some pretty decent weather the last few years, but they utilize the walk path that goes around Lake Wazeecha for that event. Dexter Park construction, as far as the maintenance building, and this is just the interior of the maintenance shop. So this has been kind of a couple of year project. The reason I put this in for 2017 was a lot of the interior completion was done. So the shelving, the workbenches, things like that, our staff had constructed. So it's pretty much complete at this point. So that was a good project. It turned out really, really nice. Southwood County Park third loop. As you're aware, every year we kind of try and upgrade a lot of our campgrounds, both electric and campsite, length and width because of the larger units that we have now. So this is just a picture of the, we utilize recycled asphalt for a lot of our camp pads, and so a lot of this was done last fall in 2017. The electrical upgrade in third loop was done this spring, and so we installed 50 amp pedestals on all the sites, or most of the sites in third loop. That was going from shared pedestals with the older 15 amp service. In addition to that, as you're all aware, so a couple years ago we went with a no carry-in for firewood policy ordinance within our camps and our campgrounds. And so one of the results of that is obviously a lot more campfire sales. And so in order to provide dry wood and as well as keep up with that demand, we constructed this larger structure at Southwood County Park. What's nice about it is the higher ceiling, and so our vehicles can come in and dump. We don't have to hand offload, as well as both ends are accessible. So once one side is getting down, we can open up the other side and start selling from that location as well. You can see on the side of the building too, we relocated our self-registration station, so that was mounted on the side of that building as well. One of the other projects that we work on, or we have been working on, and we're almost complete, but a lot of our older vault toilets really were in need of remodeling, and so this is just an example of that. This is at our Shady Rest vault toilet, and as you can see, we basically put new skylights in, a new roof, we put new doors, tiled the floor, gave it a nice repainting on the interior. So it really does freshen those vault toilets up and makes them more appealing. This is a picture of our Napgezek County Park shelter building. So this has been in our program since 2005 when it was completed. One of the main complaints that we've always heard from this building was just the acoustics. So when you're in there, there's a lot of echoing, a lot of issues with, especially if there's a band, there's no way you can even talk in there. So this was one remedy that we came up with, and as you can see, there's paneling that hangs from the ceiling. It has improved quite a bit. If you've been in there before and after, you'll definitely see the difference. There is a few areas that we could still treat, and we probably will in the future, just to lessen that echoing a little bit more, but it is definitely an improvement. A lot of you are familiar if you have forest land or if you've been into any park location, but we do have honeysuckle as well as buckthorn, invasive species, really taking over the understory of a lot of areas. So this is at Napgezek County Park, and it's basically after last fall we came in with a forestry mulcher. We mowed a lot of that honeysuckle down,
And so this spring, once it started to reemerge, we would treat that with herbicide and really trying to create more native species to get up high enough and outcompete the invasive species. So it's a very tough job. I mean, we probably only did about a half acre, and it took quite a while. So we just kind of chip away at the more usable areas and do what we can. But it's a nasty plant, as most of you are probably aware of. Another vault toilet that we did a little remodeling was at NEPCO, and we replaced the partitions as well as tiled the floor and gave that kind of a paint job inside as well. So if you're familiar with Northwood County Park, this is the walk bridge, which is in the campground, and it goes over to a pine island. This was actually the wing wall, and I'll use my pointer here, but the wing wall right here was mostly destroyed a couple of winters ago when we had kind of a February rain, and a lot of that ice broke up. It actually, those big large ice chunks came up against this structure and did a lot of damage. And so we were kind of mulling over, what's the cost benefit there, but it really is kind of a unique structure, has a lot of history there, so we did decide to hire a contractor to come in and do some repairs on that. You can see the new cap. But it is, it's the footing. We do have some issues with that. You can probably see in this picture, hard to see, but on the back side there's an existing crack already. So we basically just keep repairing as much as we can. But we do try to restore a lot of these older structures if we can. Powers Bluff, so this is a part of the nature trail, which is in the state natural area. A lot of the old signage was wooden signs, routed signs, and they were decomposing. So we went through and we upgraded with aluminum signs just to mark the trail so people who are utilizing it don't get lost. This was an event that was hosted by the Friends of Powers Bluff, and it was in the spring. I don't believe they had it this year, but they try to do it annually. This is the individual on the top there is Dr. Freckman, and he is a retired botanist from the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point. He was actually one of the founding members of the Friends of Powers Bluff, and he still serves. He's just great knowledge of different plant species and things like that. So they go out there, and he basically just goes in his playground and shows all the different plants and talks about the history of the plants and all that good stuff. So it's a pretty neat event. So this is just a slide, and this trail concept was in the county board packet last month. And if you got a chance to look at it, really what we're trying to do there and what we started in 2017 was getting a firmer plan on the trails at Powers Bluff, specifically on the new property. And so what we'd like to see in the future is really to create a destination for single track biking as well as cross-country skiing and hiking up there. So multi-use trails, and you'll hear further about this project as we go on, but this is really something that was started last year with the HERC deciding to go with a professional trail designer and builder to do this trail concept plan. Just some pictures of our shelter buildings, and we're going to get into some of the data. So in 2017, we had 331 reservations within our different shelter buildings, and this is just a breakdown by park, by location of the shelter. Obviously, NEPCO on an annual basis, because it's our only year-round shelter building, it does have the most rentals. In 2017, we had 116 rentals at that location. A little hard to see, but this breaks down just the types of events. Historically, wedding associated events is our highest rental, so we had 99 in 2017. 41 with family reunions and gathering, and the third was the graduations with 39 reservations in our parks. And these are just some 3-year snapshots. So as you can see, 2017 was a drop in our shelter use. Part of that was in the prior year, 2016, we did host the World Ski Show event, and that was basically a week long with all 3 shelter buildings being rented. So that was part of the dip there, but we're always constantly looking for ways of bringing more people into the parks, and these upgrades that we do and make to our shelter buildings, I think are definitely going to help to do that. The bottom slide is the camping unit nights for all 3 of our campgrounds. We were up a little bit last year over 2016, but it's a pretty good number yet, 16,168 camping unit nights for all 3 of our campgrounds. The largest being Dexter County Park with 6,174, and then Southwood County Park and Northwood County Park following that. This is a nice slide just to show, in-county use versus out-of-county use. So this is specific to our campgrounds. As you can see, in 2017, 57% of our campers were from out of Wood County. So it gives you an idea of just visitors, tourism, things like that. This has actually been growing since I've been the director. I think when I started, it was very close to 50-50, and it seems like every year we are getting more and more out-of-county visitors, which is a good thing. As you're aware, we've got 3 boat landings that we do charge for parking, and so this is just the 3-year boat landing launch totals. This was down a little bit as well, but around 2,000 parking passes were sold in 2017. Cross-country skiing, as well as, we'll get to Powers Bluff, but that obviously is very weather dependent. 2016-17, we had 178 total passes that were sold. Pretty low number, but as you're aware, we haven't had the greatest winters the last few winters. And then getting into Powers Bluff, we were at 4,259 total tow passes for the year. Again, we've had in excess of 8,000 passes in past years, so it's been kind of a lull, obviously, with the lack of snow that we've had the last few winters. County Forest, that's obviously the other arm of our department, and so it's a very important arm, and it provides a lot of different possible activities as well as revenue that comes into the county. Just a little, I guess, for your information, if you're interested in how does Wood County compare as far as county forest properties. So we're closer to the lower end, so we have just shy of 38,000 acres in county forest management. The largest being Douglas County with close to 280,000 acres, and the lowest being Vernon with just under 1,000 acres. So that just gives you a perspective as far as county forest and properties within each county. Not all counties, only the green ones have that program. Not all are included in that. So this is the timber sales, not the revenue that we brought in, but the timber sales that were bid out in 2017. As you can see, the total for the year was 205,000. Last year, we actually, for the first time, again, since I've been here, we've had some sales that didn't even sell, which was kind of weird because I've never seen that before, but really it's all based on market and available timber sales. A lot of our sales are winter only, and if loggers have in excess of winter sales, that obviously affects if they bid or how much they bid on those as well. So a part of the county forest program is each township that has county forest property in it, they get a prorated amount, so 10% of total revenue that comes in goes back to the townships, and it's prorated. Again, as you can see in the percentage total acres column, Town of Hiles has the most property with 24%, or just shy of 25%, and the lowest being Richfield of just shy of 1% of the total county forest property. This just gives you an idea of how volatile the revenues are. So this is a graph of revenues that came in from timber sales throughout the years. 2017, as you can see, very low. Ground conditions just were not very well in the winter time, as well as it was a very wet season. Spring, summer, it was a very wet year all around. So a lot of those sales, the loggers just could not get into those areas to do the cutting. It does make it difficult on our department as far as trying to budget what that revenue is. So hopefully, you all understand the difficulty when it comes to trying to budget what that revenue is. As you can see, 2017, we were about 237,000. 2 years prior, we were at 710,000. So that's a pretty big difference. Just to give you an idea, full Parks and Forestry Department revenues, where do those come in? Most years, forestry is about 50% or over. Not last year, obviously, because of the poor season. So 55% of our revenues came from camping-related fees and sales and things like that. 28% came from timber sales. And this just shows 2016 versus 2017 in those different categories as well. The biggest difference, obviously, in timber sales. However, the camping operations did, we were up about 70,000 from the prior year, so that did have a good jump as well. So this is the bottom line. As I've said in the past, obviously, we are, like most county departments, we do rely on tax levy. We are not a self-funded department by any means. So as you can see, the red row on the bottom, you can see the different tax levy years. 2017, we relied on the county taxpayers for $666,000 of tax levy. And you can see what those expenses versus revenues were. This was the first time since I've been here that we did not meet our tax levy, and I'm sure you can guess the main reason. It wasn't because we were over on expenses, it was because of our revenue shortfall on the timber end of things. We did our best, we were close. As you can see, the expenses versus what was expended last year, we were quite a bit lower, and that was because we knew we were coming in low on our revenue end. So we tightened our bootstraps a little bit earlier in the year, and we put off a lot of things until this year. Talking about tourism, this is a slide that I share every year. This is from the Department of Tourism, Wisconsin Department of Tourism. So obviously we're not the only players in this game, but we are a pretty big factor as far as people coming into our communities. And so in 2017, as you can see, there was, direct visitor spending, which is in the upper left-hand corner. There was a 3.1% increase, so about $12.7 million coming in from direct spending from tourism into, 93 million, I'm sorry. 93 million into Wood County for tourism direct spending. So again, it's not just revenues coming back into our department or into Wood County directly, but obviously those sales tax and other things like that also attribute towards the benefit of parks and forestry. Just a few things. This is just a snapshot of our Facebook page. So we do have a fair amount of individuals that follow us, but we are trying to get more into that market. Instagram, we're looking at the possibility of getting into that too, basically trying to attract more of the younger generation. And so marketing is a big thing that we're trying to improve on. And so this is the last slide. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer those.
Can you email that to us?
The full? Yeah, if that would be easy enough, yeah, I can send that out to everybody.
That'd be great, thank you.
Can I just ask a question? Were our campgrounds full this past week with Farm Tech Days? Do you think that was a boost?
We definitely had a lot of phone calls from Farm Tech Days campers or who wanted to camp, and so midweek was a lot fuller than it typically was. It wasn't completely full, but for the week we did do well at specifically Northwood County Park.
Any other questions for Chad? Thank you.
All right.
Just to add, I know Supervisor Plimo was here, he would be talking to this, but don't forget the State Water Ski Show, which Chad mentioned is this weekend. My wife and I do a lot of biking, and we go through South Park quite a bit. And as early as last weekend, there was already several water ski team boats already camped there. So big drivers for the county this year, that and Farm Tech Days. Supervisor Clinton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There are 5 supervisors that do represent the town of Grand Rapids on behalf of them. I'd like to welcome you to the ski show. It's a great event. Things are planned. We start on Thursday. The water ski show, and some of us work at it on Thursday through Sunday night. So plan to come out. Thanks.
Thanks for that. Is there anything else that needs to come before this county board today? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Supervisor Hamilton, second by Mr. Bry. All in favor of adjournment indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.